Welcome to Delightfully Dysfunctional, a podcast about navigating the emotions of the human condition and the challenges that come with it. I'm Kaylani Persian Mason, a psychotherapist and life coach with James Timmons, an ever-curious human. This is not a replacement for mental health therapy. Please seek out mental health care if that's what you're needing. This is an opportunity for self-healers to dive deep and understand more about themselves. Welcome back to Delightfully Dysfunctional. I'm Kaylani, and I'm here with James.
Hi, guys.
Hi.
Hi, it's been a minute.
I know. We've had a lot of guests keeping us busy, but it's been like maybe a month since we've recorded a podcast. It feels like it.
I think it might be longer.
Oh, man.
Well, I don't know, but it's maybe a month. But regardless, a little hiatus, and you guys went on vacation.
We did. We had an amazing family vacation in Colorado.
That's awesome.
I loved it so much. It's so beautiful.
Like enough to where you're considering moving to Colorado?
Like if anyone lives in Colorado who's listening and you want to be buds and tell us how to get to Colorado, let me know.
Is it true that were you guys like near Denver?
Denver, Boulder.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I've heard that like people in Denver are like, I think they're pretty special because they live in a high elevation, and that's like the first thing they always talk about. Is that true?
Is it the first thing they talk about? No.
Okay.
But
I need to visit.
There's some really interesting, like the sun is a lot brighter and the moon is bigger.
Because you're so much closer?
Yeah, and that was really cool. But the air is thinner, so if you're like really hiking or working out and you're not used to it and haven't acclimated, it might be huffing and puffing. So I don't know. There's those differences, but it was really beautiful. It was so much fun. People in Denver do not brag about being in the Mile High City that I know of. You might find it on a mug, though.
Okay.
But yeah, I highly recommend going to visit. We had a great time. And just like you could go on a different hike or a beautiful drive every weekend for years and years and years. That's what I love.
Because there's so much new things to discover?
Yeah, there's just so much beauty and so many new things to discover, and it felt like it was easier driving around the Denver area and to the suburbs and little cities than it was in the Tri-Cities.
Yeah. Well, especially now in the Tri-Cities, road construction, everything is terrible. But it's funny because
my house.
Yeah, it's funny because Washington State is like a lot of people say it rivals like Colorado as far as scenery, but we live in the one pocket that does not rival anything.
It's the desert. Yeah, people don't know. We live in the desert, folks. There was a highway that closed down due to tumbleweeds just a couple years ago.
That's right. Yeah, we live in a pretty sad place.
And I would say that, like, the Olympic National Forest, the west side of the state, it's beautiful. I feel like Issaquah is the area that I would love to live in Washington.
That's where my dad went to high school.
Yeah. But it is so cloudy and gloomy. And in Denver, that area, you have, like, the same amount of sun as you do in the Tri-Cities, like 300 days of sun, even if it's cold weather.
Well, you're above the clouds a lot of the time.
Right? You're just kissing the sun. I love that. Especially as someone who I suffer from a tiny dash of seasonal affective disorder. So the winters and the darkness, this like string of dark, cloudy days we've had, it's not my favorite.
You know, I've always thought it's funny. I don't know if it's intentional, but seasonal affective disorder, the acronym is SAD.
Yeah.
Was that deliberate, do you think?
I mean, I wasn't part of the naming committee. I feel like if that's the best they can do, that's kind of sad.
I don't know.
But yeah. I mean, yeah. Do you have sad? You sad?
Are you sad? Yeah. Do you suffer from sad?
Do you suffer from sad?
It's like, I don't understand what you're saying. Yeah. Do you have your earbuds in? No. Okay.
No. I'm going rogue.
I'll let you know if you get too far away.
Okay. I'm trying to stay on top of it.
So what are we talking about today?
Okay, you're right. We've been jib-jabbing. Here we go.
No, we've been visiting. We're catching up. It's been a month.
We're going to talk about doom scrolling. It was just election season, and I don't really want to dive into what anyone's personal political views might be. This is something that I hope resonates with people kind of no matter what position that they have, but it applies to sometimes like climate change and just the catastrophizing that can happen based on the media and headlines and the things that we are kind of gravitating towards. So this has been a big topic of conversation in my office in the last couple of weeks.
Oh, really?
Yeah, with clients who have really strong feelings one way or the other when it came to the election. So first, I would say kind of an understanding of how the media and the consumerism that we're in, it's really geared to hijack your brain's system.
Yeah.
Like it's already seeking risk. That's something that our brains are wired to do. And then when there's this constant feeling of chaos and crisis, it's just kind of hijacking that ability for us to really understand what's going on by giving us more doom.
Yeah.
In the 24-hour news cycle. And humans are just not meant to be able to like hold the capacity of every bad thing going on in the world all the time.
Right.
So it makes us feel quite hopeless, or like there's so much is out of our control in a very helpless sense. And I think that's something we want to be careful of, because that's where a lot of anxiety and depression can start to breed.
Right. Yeah.
Is this ever anything that you've experienced?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I mean, I used to be hyper political, and this election cycle I completely stayed away for 4 years, which it was great for my mental health. But I remember the comedian Norm Macdonald, do you know Norm? Yeah, he's I think the best ever. But he had this one bit where he talked about how when he was a kid everyone had maybe 6 opinions total. And he's like, and it's funny because like nowadays everyone feels like they have to have an opinion on every single topic, just so that, like almost so that they're prepared to have a conversation about it. But me, like somebody will be like, oh, did you hear about this? And I'd be like, no, I didn't. And well, oh, so you don't have an opinion? No, like, but tell me, and then but it's really nice to but I remember when I did fall into that, and I had an opinion on everything, and it was just like, yeah, it was excessive. It was unnecessary,
Yeah. And I think it's a fine line. Like we want to stay informed, but also we have to consider the things that are within our control and kind of our ultimate goal, because my ultimate goal is to be able to provide a really safe and healing environment for my clients, to have enough energy to show up as a wife and as a mother and as a friend. And for me to do that, it cannot happen through the lens of like seeing every bad, terrible thing that's happening and living in a state of panic.
Totally.
And so this election season, I took a different route as well, and tried to find that balance between staying informed and having a healthy boundary so that it isn't something that's weighing me down. And those are my goals. And I think that's I just want to like love everyone more deeply. So if I want to strive to find that state, it's not going to happen with that heaviness. And other people are going to have a different thing that they feel lit up by, that they want to share with the world. But for me, that's how I've had to navigate it. Because it's hijacking that like fight, flight, freeze state for you. It's just like tripping that amygdala off. And so not only that, I know that when I'm interacting with humans, when humans are interacting with anything that's doing that, it's making your nervous system go into this panic all the time. It's affecting your respiratory, your cardiovascular, your adrenaline is pumping. It's taking years off of your life if you're engaging with anything that's continually doing that. It's like a toxic relationship.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I mean, doom scrolling and politics have that thing in common where like it makes you sort of focus on something that's not in front of you, and it's like, oh, it's propaganda. Yeah, all of it is just a lot of propaganda. But when like you set the phone down and you just focus on what's in front of you, you realize there's a lot of love. There's a lot of love around you,
I've just found that when people can have real conversations, it keeps you curious. And the second that you think that you know everything about an issue is when you're wrong.
Yeah.
And that's me as someone who sits in front of people who have nuanced views and perspectives and lives, and my only goal is to understand.
Totally.
To understand where it's coming from their point of view. And there's always a new layer and a new insight to be found. And that's the perspective I take in my marriage too, and with my children as they grow. So like, you have to be open to things that you don't know and fully understand.
Yeah. Like, yeah, that's the kind of the unspoken agreement where we just like, you know, we all try to understand each other without judgment. And what's funny is that, like, you and I, we don't align politically on quite a few things, and we never, ever talk about it. And we have a whole podcast for, like, over almost 2 years where we've had many, many conversations. And
sometimes it's woven in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, but we've never, I mean, it's been, we maybe once or twice, we've kind of, like, stumbled onto an issue, but then that was like for 5 seconds, you know?
Should we have a debate?
No.
Should we host a debate?
No.
I'm afraid.
No way. I don't care enough about politics. Like, and that's the thing. Like, a lot of people, that it becomes their whole identity and personality.
Yeah.
Where,
yeah.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Well, no, sorry, I was cutting you off and I didn't mean to. There's, I think, I'd be curious if there's even like just a direct correlation between how many people have like not continued going to church, and then there's an increase in political affiliation and kind of tribalism in politics. Oh, yeah. And that this is me as someone who is not a churchgoer saying that. I just think that we are wired to seek community.
Right.
And at the same time this is happening, that 24-hour news cycle and just like need to continue to churn out stories continue to grow, and the political system, I think, it just became more and more. I mean, I'm sure that there's always been manipulation in politics.
Oh, yeah.
That's from the start, right? Mm-hmm. Obviously. But I think that there are more ways that we're starting to learn are coming out, you know, like that probably been systems for a really long time.
Yeah.
So people are going to have strong perspectives around that. So it's a difficult season, and I know that there are people who are celebrating and feeling fine or feeling relief. And like, this is also, I think, an understanding I hope that we can have no matter what's going on, when we have different perspectives with someone, or when there's something that we're just obsessing over. These are all things that actually are good tips for us, because again, it's like hijacking also our dopamine system. Even if it's something positive that you're scrolling through, let's say it's not doom scrolling, but it's I'm just like in it to get this reward system and feeling like I've achieved something when it's really nothing. And that can be true of like video games as well. I think my plea and my call to action in any of those types of conversations is like an invitation to live life and really live it.
Yeah.
And what are the things that you're really in control of? It's the connection and the opportunities, these touch points that you have with the humans in your life.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And that can make such a ripple effect that I don't want us to discount. It's like you could be the best moment of someone's day.
Yeah.
You could be able to really like change this opportunity and help the perspective of a group to be more positive, or to see something in a new way. There's all these different ways where you have those opportunities to make real change, and it doesn't have to feel like a defeat.
Yeah. Yeah, I agreed. But going back to the politics, it's kind of like, it's sad when people put their whole faith into like a part, like the government. Like whenever, even if I agree with somebody politically and they're just going on about like a really charged topic, I'm always like, how sad that like you have given your joy and faith contingent on the actions of somebody who doesn't care about you. You know, it's like, I care about you.
You know, I think it's a balance, because like you need to advocate for things you really believe in. And there are certainly things in this election, as with every election, that I really believe in and I'm passionate about. And then I also have to be aware that life is not here to turn out the way that I want or that I think it should be.
Yeah.
And I have to be able to like go with the waves, go with the ups and downs, and still find a balance in what it is that I'm in control of and can advocate for. That feels good, that feels right. So I don't know. I think there's this equation of when we resist our suffering, increases our pain. And I think I've released it. Like, I don't need to resist it. You can like let it suck and let it feel what it is or whatever, and like move through it. And anyways, especially again, if we like zoom out and see the big picture, we only have this one life. You only have so many years. How do you want to spend them? And it's interesting as we look at some of the data. The American Psychological Association says stress in America in 2024 was 77% of adults had this view and this perspective in the nation that the future of what was going on with our country politically was a significant source of stress and was exacerbating their mental health issues. And that the quality of life found in doom scrolling is linked to worse mental health and life satisfaction.
Yeah.
And doom scrolling evokes a greater level of existential anxiety, leading to feelings of dread and panic.
Absolutely. I've experienced that. I mean, I won't, it's crazy because you're seeing propaganda. You're seeing everyone's like greatest hits, and on when you're scrolling on like Instagram or anything, social media, and like even like setting politics aside, that dread and that existential anxiety I feel like it's because you are living. You're almost, it's like an insidious way of like where you are like living comparatively, where you're kind of like, oh, my life doesn't look like that, so
that's like a different kind of scrolling through life. I think we are kind of an observer of what's going on with everyone else, and everything you post is curated. Like I'm not posting a picture of my dog had peed on the floor the other day. I'm not posting like a sink full of dishes and just the moments of life that are also very real and happening all the time. So it's a really tricky and sticky place to find yourself, and it's not real life. We all have heard that quote where comparison is the thief of joy, but it truly is. So the trickiness in all of this is understanding that just like it, especially now, it's difficult to completely avoid any kind of news or digital media or social media or anything like that. It's like kind of embedded into the culture. But let's picture it like food that one might be able to eat on a diet, and that's junk food.
Yeah, totally.
So let's view it as, what kind of news diet do I want to ingest? Because if you're only ingesting and having the intention of comparison or of doom or catastrophizing, it's going to negatively impact your mental health, and you have indulged in junk.
Totally.
And things that aren't good for you. It's not balanced.
Yeah. Remember, I think last year when we took, I guess more you took the social media hiatus. Have you done that recently?
No, it's making me think that maybe we should do another round here.
I mean, how would you say, thinking back on the way that it felt back then versus your relationship with social media today, how would you say your anxiety compares?
I don't know. I think it shifted, and I've used less social media overall. And I've realized I think the utility of Facebook for me as a place to see like what community events are going on and Marketplace, honestly, are the things that I use the most. But those can be, I don't like, there still are times where I maybe automatically clicked on it, and then I'm spending a moment or two scrolling that I hadn't intended, and then that's like a lost moment. So I think it would be good to do another refresh for just being more intentional about our time. But I think we should start in January.
Okay. Well, I just did a full month social media hiatus.
So it's fresh. How does it feel for you?
But and I'm down to like limit it in January. So I'm all for. Well, here's the thing, because like I had set on this like personal healing journey, and that was kind of the culmination. And so for that month, I had like such profound healing during that month, and then I noticed that like my relationship with myself started to like emerge and bloom. And so when I start to feel like a little bit of that dread and anxiety, I've been like having these days where I'm like, I'm going to spend quality time with myself. And then with that, I deactivate, or not deactivate, but I delete the apps off my phone for like several hours. And then I start to kind of feel like recalibrated again, which is crazy. Cause then like, it's kind of like, well, then why do you even go back to the social media? But like you said, there's a couple, I mean, it is useful for a lot of reasons, but I've noticed that it's very similar to like a chemical addiction, like a drug addiction, because it's like you get those impulses that the more you click on, the more you like check into your social media, the more you're feeding those impulsive hungers, and then so it's just like a mouse with the Coke or whatever.
Well, and it's the most addictive form of reinforcement. It's intermittent reinforcement, which means that, ooh, maybe this time we'll get a new good update. And this time I won't. And then like it's just like the same experience of slot machines.
Yeah.
And the excitement of this time, this refresh, is there going to be something that I want to see, something juicy, something, giving me a sense of acceptance here within what we've created as like online digital tribes, which isn't nourishing like the real thing.
Yeah.
Isn't nourishing like in-person connection.
That's
not
so
saying
accurate.
You can't have, like I've known people who have actually really close connections they've made online, and I'm not meaning that. That's different than like I'm scrolling and my relationship with you is purely based on what I see here on the screen.
Yeah.
And it's created so much distance, and I feel like I'm such a broken record, but like we're in this loneliness epidemic, and these are just more reasons that I'm wanting to bring to the forefront of why in our conversations, because it's something that we should not be forgetting as individuals and as a nation. And I think that a lot of that leads to depression and hopelessness, and we have these piling on of factors it doesn't make sound-minded people if you're in a anxious and depressed panic and feeling hopeless. It doesn't allow you to try to understand or have conversation or see people for their humanity, flaws and all.
Absolutely.
And I'm all about humans and loving humans and helping humans love each other better.
Yeah.
So it's a complicated topic because there are people who feel really strongly in either way, and I love you both.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, it's crazy because like I remember I was so afraid to take a season off of social media because I was so afraid of being lonely, and that was sort of like my coping mechanism to avoid loneliness. But then what it revealed when I did like bravely sacrifice it was that loneliness was just a byproduct of my relationship that I didn't have with myself. And so sitting alone with myself was that was so needed, where I don't feel like that addiction or that need to check in. Yeah, because like you said, like a slot machine where you're constantly tapping it, hoping maybe there will be some kind of a connection somewhere. Maybe somebody will like my post, and then or like if somebody looks at my story, then that must mean that they're thinking about me.
Yeah, I think it's just too sticky. And especially when I analyze, like if anyone's trying to analyze any of my actions on social media, they're going to be lost and confused. Half the time I forget to like post or something I write. I'm terrible about like checking friend requests. I'm so sorry. And like, it's erratic. It looks like a crazy person. There's nothing to make
rhythm.
sense of.
Yeah.
There's no rhythm.
There's no routine with it. Yeah.
Like I haphazardly check it when I'm sleepy and can't quite see in the morning, and like there's no indication of anything.
It's not like from 3 a.m. to 3:05 you log on. Well, for me, 3 a.m. to about 5 a.m. I'm just scrolling. So that's the best time to get a hold of me.
That's the best time to get a hold of you? Oh, no, man. I want to be snoozing. That's the only place I want to be at 3 a.m. to 5 a.m.
It's like muscle memory. It used to be I'd wake up at 3 a.m. with massive anxiety, but there's no anxiety, thankfully, but my body still wakes up at 3 a.m.
Well, here's some other tips, too, and things to know, because the blue light on your screen, no matter what you're looking at, but that also affects the melatonin production.
Oh, really?
And also emotional arousal. And so... Well, the emotional arousal from just like doom scrolling or like, I don't know the other version of scrolling that we're talking, comparison scrolling. I'm sure that there's a more appropriate word that someone's made, but like all of that's going to make it harder to fall asleep. It's like disrupting also the reward system right before your brain is supposed to kind of be tuning off and like going to sleep.
Yeah. So then would you recommend that I watch like a really violent horror movie instead?
Only if it lowers your heart rate. So
okay. But that would be a problem.
Yes. If it does, then
that means you're a
psychopath.
Know, yeah.
And I have some people I'm going to contact. Okay. Don't come over.
They're called the police.
Yeah.
No, that's not the case. I don't even like horror movies. I like Hallmark.
Do you?
I like Hallmark movies. Sorry.
Did you watch Hot Frosty?
No. What's that about?
It was about a snowman that comes to life. It was like a silly Netflix one that we watched, but the man, they made him look so thin that I felt really concerned for his health.
Oh.
Like I felt like I wanted to feed him a cheeseburger.
Hot Frosty?
Hot Frosty.
Wait, it was a
cheeseburger.
Oh, it was a dude?
Yeah.
He was the snowman at first.
Yeah.
But then he became like Pinocchio style.
Sure.
Okay. I watched Deadpool and Wolverine yesterday.
I watched that on the flight to Denver.
Oh, really? Yeah, I had not seen it. It was awesome. But Ryan Reynolds has this line where he says, I want like something like Pinocchio bury his face in my butt and lie to me.
Oh,
and I was like, that's so clever. I just used a Pinocchio reference. That's what reminded me of it.
Okay,
was
we moved back around.
X-rated Pinocchio stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Sorry.
Man, we got in the gutter here.
Yeah, I kind of escalated that one pretty quickly. So sorry about that. Hallmark to Pinocchio pegging. Anyway.
Yeah. Okay. We're back on track. Here we go. Let's go. So we want to just make sure that you're setting these intentional limits and considering whatever you're consuming as being a media diet. And are we taking it from trusted resources, or do we need to always be maybe relying on those sources of information? So I've really curated especially my Instagram. It's very positive. Most of it is mental health focused, or it's from people that are really in my circle of people who I enjoy interacting with. And so it's not a place where there's dread. Those things and changes that you can be making and just checking in with yourself and how it feels to be interacting with that. Is this healthy for me? Is this helping my relationships around me?
Yeah.
Because that's something I notice too. When people are either overly addicted to their phone, whether that's a game or social media, whatever it may be, they're missing a lot of opportunities to tune into the people around you.
Right.
So if you have a partner, they're probably feeling pretty isolated.
Yeah. Well, I've asked you guys this question before, where like, what's your guys' situation with what's your relationship to your phones when you and Zach are near each other? But is it pretty limited? Like, do you guys is there like kind of the freedom to say, hey, you're paying too much attention to your phone, and like,
but we have a very open relationship when there's stuff like that going on. So we would definitely say, he would definitely say something and I would say something. And I think it would almost be like a non-issue. Be like, oh yeah, baby, let me turn that off. What was it? It would it would navigate it just like that. But we'll also say something if I notice, like, when he's stressed, he might play more video games, and he doesn't typically play video games, so that's like an indication. But he's also good at telling me, hey, it was a really stressful week, and I need this to like process and vent. And I'd be like, okay, I understand. He's also good at limiting it and feeling like I was doing that too much. So he'll literally move it and put it in the attic.
That's cool.
It's not me asking him to do it. It's him being aware and recognizing.
Yeah, because he has a standard that he wants to live by.
Yeah. And you have to be, where am I giving my attention? Am I giving it to my phone, or am I giving it to the relationships around me? Because it is the quality of those relationships that adds years to your life.
Yeah.
Like, truly, if they regulate your nervous system, they're adding years to your life more so than going to the gym. And we, again, like reflecting on the things that the people are saying when their deathbed. It's all about the connections to other people.
Yeah.
That's what really matters. So I'd like to live with that awareness so that I don't have those regrets. Hopefully I might have different regrets.
Yeah.
I hope I have some really good stories. But
I don't want to waste my time looking at a screen or dreading instead of living in the present and missing these moments. And that's my plea to everyone, and just to go forth and live curiously and compassionately.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's funny because it's been so normalized for people to just have their phone in front of them while they're like interacting with others. But for me, I'll see the phone. I always, when I'm sitting with somebody, I either turn my phone upside down, it's out of sight, I turn it on silent, and like right now it's like across the room, I powered it off just because I just feel better when in that situation. But the people that are like this, when you're talking to them, I was like, oh, okay, I'll wait until you're done using your phone. But I almost feel bad that like, it's like, well, that's their autonomy. They can do whatever they want. But then I'm like, but you're also, like it's pretty rude in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, you have to decide in what company you're in and what you would say.
Yeah. If you're on a date, for me.
Sure. Yeah. Okay. If you're on then you have to decide like kind of the standard of behavior that you're wanting to accept from a partner, and when or how you might want to express that. I think if you're on a first date, you're kind of like, okay, I'm getting to know this person, and noted that is the first impression that you want me to have, but I'm still going to be open-minded.
Yeah.
And then kind of see what happens. Because you also, in those beginnings of getting to know someone, you don't know enough about their life. And maybe their kid was with a new sitter for the first time. I, as a parent, would want to be checking in.
That's
right?
true.
You don't know.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Okay. But yeah. And then, you're right. Okay.
Did that help you navigate
I feel better.
something? Okay.
No, this is just this is not like a recent thing. It was just something that I've noticed has become a lot more prevalent in casual relationships, Yeah. Is that the phone is usually like this wall in between the two people, I think
it's a safety net for people if they're nervous as well, but it's unfortunate that that's become the norm. Yeah. I also think just in opportunities, we forget some of our humanity because our everyday opportunities to just interact with people are more sterilized with the phone. Like if you were in a waiting room, if you're in line at the grocery store, most people are looking at their phone, and it's not an opportunity to even like make eye contact with someone.
Yeah.
I think that's something I really realized since having my daughter, because my attention and focus is on her, and she is constantly trying to interact with other people. So then I'm interacting with other people, and otherwise, without that opportunity of being more present, I would probably be on my phone too. Yeah. So I think there's good in the people around you, and with it's good. We should seek that. That's all.
Yeah. Be present.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was working with a client today, and we reflected on the 4 agreements, which we did have a podcast episode about that. But I just think that this is a nice way to end this episode, remembering and kind of rooting in with your integrity, and like be impeccable with your word, say things that are honest, and that, use your word to spread truth and love, good things. Don't take anything personally. Don't take anything personally. It's someone else's stuff that they're going through. You don't need to absorb it. Don't make assumptions. Avoid interpreting or assuming what others are thinking, feeling, what their intention is. Just try to communicate clearly and avoid misunderstandings.
Yeah.
And always do your best. And that your best will vary. And that others' best will vary too.
Yeah. And I feel like that's the recipe for peace. All the things you just listed. Is that the 4 agreements?
Those are the 4 agreements.
Okay. I feel like that was like 8 agreements.
I just expanded on
Okay. It's like 4.1, 4.2. Yeah. Well, that's great. Yeah, because always doing your best, for example, like if you can honestly say that you tried your best, your hands are clean, Mm-hmm. But anyway, that's my 2 cents.
Yeah. I hope everyone had a really lovely Thanksgiving. We're filming this right prior to Thanksgiving. Yeah. And just appreciate you being a part of the Delightfully Human family. Thank you so much.
Oh, you just called it Delightfully Human.
Oh, I did.
Is that
I
official?
call them my delightful humans.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, honestly, I still feel torn. Should we do a poll? I'm confusing everybody, but this is the real deal.
Yeah, let's do a poll.
We're going to do a poll.
Okay.
And we'll get some feedback. But I'm going to start updating the zone. I'm testing out some stuff.
Okay.
We're going to start freshening things up in here.
I can contribute now that I have money.
James has a job and some money, you guys. Give him some claps. We're happy for him.
Yeah, you can also send me money and pretend like I don't have money.
Yeah, send us some tips.
There's no limit. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. If you are interested in working with me, you can head over to coachkaylani.com. And I also have a couple of freebies for you over there, a free downloadable meditation, as well as some journal prompts to help you in your growth and in your personal discovery. So thank you so much for joining us, everyone. And we will see you in the next one.
Bye-bye.
Bye.